there, welcome back to the channel, and my name is Carrie with bluescitypickin, and if you are new here, I am a part-time reseller who goes around to estate sales, garage sales, thrift stores, and attempts to find things to flip for a profit on eBay. This is my weekly Ching. This is number 24. Short story long, not a great week. The week of February 9th. I took some lower offers just to get some movement in the store. Really just a tough one. I had the most amazing week in Ching number 23. You should go check that one out. But 24 in the week of February 9th, not so much. So, all in all, my numbers were down. So gross sales were only $513. Profit was $223.58. So I was fortunate in this particular instance that I had a couple of good sales and some good low cost of goods to buy this. My average profit was $12.42, so below my $15 minimum, but also was trying to get some things moving out the door. And I had 18 different orders. As far as the average time for sale, this week it was 80 days. I had something that sold immediately, and then I also had something that took 253 days. But I will say I did have a repeat buyer that is returning both items this week. So technically I am at 16 orders if you count the returns, but I'll cover those in a minute. So let's get into it. This should be a short one. First thing is this lug passport holder. I picked this up at Goodwill back at the beginning of February for $4.13. Sold it for $15, and so I made $8.40 after 4 days. Next up is a pair of solid brass sconces. They were made in India. I paid $4 for these at an estate sale back in November. They sold for $23.90, so I had a gross profit of $16.39 after 62 days. Next up is the first of two things that will allegedly be coming back to me. They have not been shipped yet. This was a vintage Bosch universal bowl. It was the bowl only. I bought a Bosch mixer back at Goodwill in December. I paid like $25 for the whole thing, so I had $6.74 assigned to this. It sold for $33, so profit of $18.46 in 0 days, but it's going to be returned. I don't understand how, when you look at the pictures, you look at the model number in there, and you still buy the wrong one, and then you buy the lids that match that bowl and are going to return those too because they don't match the bowl. It's jarring. So that's fun. Next up is this art glass paperweight. It was an orange. It paid $1 for this at a yard sale back in November. Got an offer for $10. Let it go and made $6.78 after 89 days. Next up is this Cabbage Patch Kid coin bank. I bought this at an estate sale last March. So when I got a $6 offer on my $1 purchase price, I said goodbye. I made a whole $1.37 on this after 253 days, but it is gone to a new home. Next up is this Lillian & Co. set of 2 bangles. This actually came from a personal clean out back last summer. They sold for $14 and I had nothing into them, so $11.98 profit after 195 days listed. Next up is this little vintage Brighton change purse. I paid $2 for this at an estate sale, same one I picked up those sconces at back in November. Buyer paid $8.95. I made $5.71 after 67 days. Next up is actually something that's not being returned from the Bosch mixer. This was the whisk replacements. Sold these for $20, $6.74 into it, so I made $11.73 after just a day. Next up is this Arctic small tote. I bought this new with tag at Goodwill for $15.65. I took an offer of $40, and so I made $17.10 after 11 days. This is the other piece of the Bosch mixer that is supposed to be returned. This was the work bowl lid and the outer ring. It was 2 pieces, $6.74 into it, sold for $26, made $14.50 after 2 days. Next up is a pair of Justin boots. I paid $10.96 for these at Goodwill back at the beginning of February. Once again, I was getting no sales last week, so I went back and forth with this buyer multiple times and ultimately accepted an offer of $40, and so I made $21.32 after just a day listed. Next item is a comforter crib blanket. It was vintage. It was super cute. It had balloons and stuff on it. I did pay $4 for this at a local thrift store back in August. Somebody offered me $15, and I made $8.13 after 163 days. Next up is a pair of Fair Harbor Boys swim trunks. I got this out of the ThredUp Mystery Kids box that I bought back in November. I paid $1 for them. My buyer paid $11.12, and so I made $7.29 after 97 days. I'm still slowly listing things out of that mystery box based off the season. I have a pile of them over there that I'm about to try to get listed this weekend. So it's nice to kind of supplement my Goodwill hauls or estate sale hauls over the last month or two with just a couple of pieces of that to try to keep my listing numbers reasonable. So next up is one of my better sales for the week. This is an Anthropologie Maeve dress. I picked this up at Goodwill back at the end of December. I paid $7.25 for it. It sold for $40, and so I made $26.91 in just 42 days. Next item, I have multiple pairs of Hokas in my closet. I think I had even said, like, on one of my Goodwill hauls recently, like, I would pick them up, but they're not selling. Well, I think I sold 2 pairs of Hokas in the last week, so that's great. I paid $10.24 for these at Goodwill back in October. They sold for $33, and so I made $17.78 after 128 days. And they're just so easy to list and ship, and I don't clean my shoes, so I'm okay with that. Next up is this Sack brand. It was a teal shoulder bag. It had a leather strap. I paid $8.62 for this at Goodwill back in December. Sold for $29, and so I made $15.72 in just 46 days. Next item is a set of W.M. Rogers gold-plated flatware. It was a set of 4 dinner forks. I sold these for $10. I made $8.44. This came out of a clean out. And so that was after 205 days listed. And then last but not least, I had bought the same estate sale actually as the sconces and the Brighton wallet. I picked up a couple bags of Cabbage Patch Kid dolls and clothes. And so this came out of that. These were 2 pairs of shoes, not in the best condition at all. I tried to wipe them down. It just ended up being too much work for what they were going to be worth. And then I think one of them was missing a shoelace. So I had $1 assigned to this as cost of goods. They sold for $7.99, and so I made $5.57 after 72 days. So that's it. So really short. You go from selling 42 items last week to 18 this week, and I was taking offers that I normally would have probably countered or pushed up on just to try to keep the store living and breathing. As far as like how things split out, it was, as far as genres, it was about half and half between clothing and like household items. Not really any toys, not really any collectibles or anything like that this week. And then as far as store allocation, it was primarily Goodwill because I had a couple of really good sales on things that I had purchased recently. And that was about 70%, and then estate sales at 13, and then 14 at other. So honestly, I'm okay because I have been watching other resellers to make sure that it's not something that I'm doing right, wrong, indifferent. in my store and my listing habits and what's going on. And everywhere I see right now is that resellers are all saying the same thing right now, is that sales are just slow. And that's okay. You plan for the slow times, just stay diligent, stay consistent with sourcing low, pricing effectively, taking offers, end in relisting, and then brain problems. I had something else in my head and it's just not there. Oh, and listing regularly. So I still try to list 5 a day. Sometimes on the weekends I don't do it, but you know, that's okay. So like I said, a super short video this week. I appreciate you coming back. Let me know how your sales are. Is it just me, or are we all living the same dream here as resellers? I appreciate it. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.